officer, which deals with individuals in our city suffering from mental illness.
Some of the responsibilities of POP officer include doing SEPTED site analysis, which is crime prevention through environmental design.
I work hand in hand with business owners and anyone throughout the community of Menifee to tackle ongoing issues, find a creative way to solve their recurring issues.
My primary role as a homeless liaison officer is to provide resources to homeless individuals that assist in substance use and housing.
I work in partnership with the Menifee Police Department as a part of the Community Behavioral Assessment Team. And my partner and I respond to 911 mental health emergencies within the community, providing resources, support, anything that clients may need, and linkage.
Good evening, Menifee. It is 6:04. I will call this meeting to order. Mr. City Attorney, do you have anything to report out of closed session?
Not tonight, Mayor.
Thank you, City Attorney Melching. Madam Clerk, have you received any correspondence on tonight's agenda?
No, we have not.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Okay, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Councilmember Dynas.
Here.
Councilmember Diedrich.
Here.
Councilmember Temple.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Carwin.
Here.
And Mayor Estrada.
Here. Next, we are on our words of inspiration. I would like to welcome up Tony Hughes with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints to come to the podium to provide our words of inspiration. Good evening, sir.
Thank you. Good evening, and thank you, Mayor, City Council members, other city representatives, and residents of the City of Menifee. I'm grateful for this opportunity to share a few words of inspiration this evening. As I thought about what I might share with you today, one thought kept coming into my mind, and that thought was of gratitude. As a Menifee resident of over 37 years now, I've seen a lot of changes. There's been a lot of growth that's taken place, and through it all, I've been struck by a lot of things, but one thing that's impressed me the most is the feeling of home that Menifee has. It's a sense of belonging that most residents seem to recognize and embrace. We all know that change isn't always easy, and change on the scale that we as a community are witnessing can be particularly unsettling, and yet somehow we just know it's going to be okay. The famous playwright George Bernard Shaw once said that progress is impossible without change, and I believe in that wholeheartedly. We want this area to make progress, and that can only happen with change. I believe that we are lucky to be living in this part of the world. The quality of life we enjoy is so good. From the schools, the parks, the restaurants, the stores, they're all great. But most of all, it's the people. They are absolutely amazing. We have so much to be grateful for, and I give thanks every day to be living in such a wonderful part of the world. But all these things do not happen by accident. We are blessed with leaders who care. We are blessed with great public servants who work hard and sacrifice their time and efforts to protect us and to keep this city running. They know the residents and their needs, and they strive to meet them. So it's my hope that Menifee will always feel like home, that people will always feel welcome, that they will feel valued, and they will feel safe here. That this city continues to be a place where where people want to live, to work, and to raise a family. I know we all want Menifee to be a place that we can be proud of, and it's my hope that we can embrace the changes that have already happened and look forward with optimism to the changes that are coming, but we still will retain that wonderful sense of community that we've been blessed with, and then we can be grateful for that. And I say all these things in the holy name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Hughes. Next, we are on our Pledge of Allegiance, and I see our chair from our Parks Commission, Commissioner Faust, is here. Commissioner Faust, can you please lead us in the pledge?
Thank you. Would everyone please stand and remove your hats, gentlemen? Put your right hand on heart, ready to begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Faust. Next, we're going to have our proclamation for Older Americans Month, and I'd like to invite the council and our senior advisory committee to meet me up at the front. Okay. Okay, will you guys hold this, please, in the middle? Okay, good evening, everybody. Today we are presenting Older Americans Month, and we have our Senior Advisory Committee here. I want to make sure the camera sees them so we can give them credit. We have Tracy Pearson, we have Debbie Mannion, we have Gloria Sanchez, Bruce Atwood, and we have Charmaine Summers. And they're part of our Senior Advisory Committee. And today we are paying homage to our seniors in the community. I personally want to thank all 5 of you for the work you do here in Menifee, the intergenerational relationships you provide for the youth, the health and resources fairs you all put on, also all of the wisdom you share with your council colleagues. We appreciate that. So thank you for all you do for the city of Menifee. I'll pass it on to Mayor Pro Tem Carwin.
What can we say? We have so many seniors in our community, both in all corners of the city, and you're representing them so well, bringing them together to make them part of our community, showing them what we have to offer, and helping people, frankly, not hole up in their home and get out and live life and enjoy all the things that Menifee has to offer. So thank you for doing that, and that's why we want to honor older Americans, to make sure everybody knows that you are seen and heard and loved and appreciated by the city of Menifee. I'm going to pass it over to Ben Diedrich.
Well, we just want to thank you for all that you do. We may be, honoring older, but you're full of energy, right? You do, the 5 of you here, I think, do more than many, many other people do. So we appreciate that. Just because you're older doesn't mean you're not contributing. You're contributing more than most people are. So we want to thank you for that, and we truly appreciate everything that you do.
That's okay.
I'll give it to Dan.
No, thank you so much for all you do. You've dedicated so much to so many people in Menifee, and I don't know what else that can be said that I could contribute other than thank you so much for all that you do and continue to have done.
You know, you're called the advisory committee, but you do more than advise. A lot of times you're proactive on a lot of the things. I think the transportation classes and everything you put on, and you make sure that, you know, our seniors can get to their appointments and stuff. So you're not just advising the council, you're out there coming up with ideas and plans and ways to serve, not just advise. So that's what you bring to the table that's so important, because we have a lot of seniors, not that I would know, but you know, we have so, you know, it'd be surprising how many senior communities we have here in Menifee, and they all benefit from all the things you do. So thank you so much for all your time that you do to make sure that our seniors are taken care of. Thanks.
He said, so you each get the plaque for a month. Yeah. So I will now pass the floor to our Senior Advisory Committee. I will hand the microphone off to the chair, and then if any other members would like to speak, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much, City Council. We appreciate it. I did write some words. I didn't want to forget anything. This is so important. May is always dedicated to our seniors population with the Older Americans Act that was passed in 1965. So I want to make sure that you're well aware of what all means to everyone. This May, as we mark Older Californians Month and Americans Month, we pause to recognize the everyday efforts that shape how aging is experienced here in Menifee. It's a time to reflect on the values that guide this work: dignity, inclusion, connection, and the belief that growing older brings new experiences and meaning. Across the nation, state, county, and in Menifee, older adults continue to contribute in powerful ways. They are caregivers, community leaders, mentors, and advocates. They shape families and neighborhoods, pass down wisdom, if they would listen to us. And they stay engaged in ways that lift us all. With your continued support, older adults are seen, heard, and valued where they live and belong. The Senior Advisory Committee sees this month not just as a celebration, but as a reminder of what's possible when we work together. Your continued support, City Council, helps ensure that every community in Menifee reflects the full value of aging and embraces older adults as vital members of society. So thank you, council members, city staff, and especially our senior center staff for the work you do every day to support older adults, people with disabilities, and caregivers in Menifee. It continues to make a difference not only during this month, but every day. So thank you, and on behalf of all of the senior citizens in Menifee, we accept this proclamation in their name. Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else would?
Hi everyone, I'm Charmaine Summers. I moved here when I was 54, not a senior yet, and now I am 63, and I'm so proud to be here. I'm originally from Orange County, born and raised, and I now consider Menifee my home, and I'm looking forward to growing at a mature age here, and I'm so excited to have our new staff and mayor here, and of course Mr. Carwin, and I just can't tell you, and Aikisha, she is amazing, her whole staff. We come to these meetings and we just get so much done, and you are a great leader, and I thank you for that. And I just say God bless Menifee.
Well, I just want to say thank you to the city and mayor and the council for everything. You know, you've been very, very supportive in the Senior Advisory Committee and the people here in Menifee. So thank you again, and God bless you.
I agree with the thank you, because it takes everybody to make the community one community, and everybody feel appreciated. So I appreciate all the city council and their staff to make sure that we can get everything done we need to do. Thank you.
I didn't have anything prepared, but I just want to say thank you for giving me an opportunity to serve on this advisory committee with these wonderful people, meeting all these wonderful people in Menifee. It's a great town. Thanks again. Let's do it. Menifee better together.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And I see our Public Information Officer, Phil, in the back. Phil, we're ready to take the photo. Okay, we are now on 5.2 Police Department Quarterly Update, and I see Chief Carr at the podium. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, City Council. Chris Carr, Chief of Police. We are here tonight to discuss the quarterly Police Department update. And get my clicker going here. So our first quarter is comparisons, same time frame, 24 versus 25. We had a 5% decrease in calls for service during that same period. You'll see here our top calls for service, follow-ups, welfare checks. They're all pretty consistent. The biggest change here was our parking violations. So again, this is things that people calling us. So we're seeing more compliance, better signage, or just receiving less calls on it. Next is our alarm calls here. We had a 14% decrease this year compared to last. And during that same time period, we had one commercial alarm that resulted in a commercial burglary.
Hey, Chief, can I ask you, what do you attribute that change to?
The
decrease.
percentage as far as the alarms?
Yeah.
You know, over the last couple of years, we've been sending out letters to our businesses, and we're seeing responses come back quicker, that they're being compliant. I think it's just a lot of effort, quick responses, and just better technology helping these. And then we are starting to see questions from the dispatch center as far as video verification, something that helps with the verification. So they might be dispoing it before we even get dispatched to it.
Are you noticing newer alarms tend not to create false calls?
Well, I think you're just seeing better maintained equipment. So, you know, whether it be the connections, the sensors are just improved. Here we have our Group A crimes. This is crimes against persons, crimes against property and society. Overall, we had a 2% reduction. Society, crazy as it is, they're identical numbers. Crimes against persons went up slightly, and then significant property down. Our top five, again, Group A's is your drug and narcotics, your simple assaults, your aggravated assaults, weapons laws. You'll see they're very similar in their numbers. Shoplifting had a slight uptick. However, we are working with the Regional Organized Retail Crime Task Force. So we've actually made some significant impacts in our shoplifting crimes. Group B crimes here decreased by 7%, you know, in that same time period. So we're starting to see some of the reductions. And this, again, Group B's are your warrants, probation violations, court orders, things of that matter. Your top 10 all crimes, other offenses. Other offenses is your Group B. So again, that's your warrants, vandalism, conspiracies, and then everything else there is what we'd call Group A. And you can see driving under the influence, our DUIs are down 39%. That's pretty good, you know, when we're looking at our annual comparisons and we're seeing reductions through education, enforcement, and just the saturations out there. So kudos to OTS and that continued support from the state helping us to do these enforcement operations. Overall cases, we're down 16%. This is good. This is your actual criminal cases that are filed by the community. So we're seeing it trend the right way compared to last year. This was a graph that we put together on Mayor Pro Tem Carwin's request. This was as close as we could get to identifying the age groups that are arrested and what they're doing. What we saw here is your 30 to 49-year-olds like to be overachievers. They are your people who are committing the most property crimes, the most crimes against persons, and the most societal crimes. And those little bridge connectors are actually the ones that have multiple offenses when we make the arrest. So you can see they also like to match their numbers when they commit their crimes, and they commit multiple at the same time. The other ages, 18 to 29, you see a slightly less society crime, and then the 59 or the 50 to 69-year-olds, a little less assault against persons. So 5% of our arrests were by repeat offenders, and we had 358 during that same quarter. So like I said, we couldn't break it out per violation, and this is due to the new NIBRS reporting. It would make it look like we had 5 times the amount of crimes, because when you make an arrest for a person who has 3 charges, it looks like 3 arrests. So this was the best way to report that out. Next, we're going to move into code enforcement. During this period, they opened 522 cases, where they were able to close 269. 25% of their current active cases are still carryovers from 2024. And you can see, our biggest area is still doing, administrative citations, but we're seeing illegal sign removal, trash debris, illegal dumping. So their team's really on it. They've been striving, and last year they had an 85% closure. So they're doing great work. Our HOPE team and our homeless liaison officer out here, repeat contacts, 122. We're looking at our biggest thing is 56% of other services. And so I wanted to kind of highlight, the other ones are definable, but other services are things such as getting an ID card, filling out benefit forms, going to the VA for medical services, and obtaining the EBT cards. So this is the kind of things that the HOPE team is doing out there, and the HLO is assisting with 56% of the time when we're making contact with our unhoused. Our CBAT, 90 calls for service during this time. They had no calls for service at our local schools, which is great during this first quarter. People coming in off of holidays, and we didn't have to respond out to the schools. You'll see here that we were dealing with 130 people who have history of mental health, which leads us into our Mental Health Awareness Month, which is May. So we're currently sitting there. I wanted to highlight a couple of things that, 1 in 5 adults experience mental illness each year. 50% of all lifetime mental illness begins by age 14, 75% by 24. So when we identify, the youth and our young adults struggling, we can get them some help early on. It will stop some of the prolonged treatments that's needed. And then 30 million people in the U.S. still lack access to comprehensive help. And this is all from the National Council webpage. One of the things that we wanted to highlight is we have a local, or had a local transient. This is a huge success story for our HOPE team and our HLO and just all the officers that have done this. 57 documented contacts in the last 4 years, 17 arrests since we went live. The HOPE team has contacted this individual 140 times or 142 times offering services. And what they saw was an opportunity. They found housing that came available. They sought this individual out, figured why not, let's go for it one more time. And this individual took the assistance. They are now in transitional recovery housing, and then will be looking to be placed into long-term transitional housing. This was 4 years of active engagement, one of those repeat offenders. This is how long it takes to take care of those that are in severe mental distress. It will be amazing if we can ever get that individual to come and speak. To see what they looked like when they were unhoused to what they look like right now is amazing. You would not recognize this individual. So we're super excited and just proud of what this team has done, and we just wanted to highlight how long and how much effort it takes to make these changes to people that we feel are permanently unhoused. With that, we also had some of our outreach events, Cops and Cows. That was a blast. Got to do the service window. I think I'm better off doing the dining room. Service window was a little hectic. We held our autism awareness class. Again, this is one that we highlighted, talking about this is the first time that law enforcement has taught a phase of what we call PROACT training. It's usually reserved for educators. This was a huge piece that came back from many agencies, and we're seeing out of state interest. First Responders Night at Paloma High School, the women's or the girls' lacrosse team. And then we have Coffee with a Cop at Starbucks, another good outreach program. And then here was our K-9 trials. Again, you can see our officer there with his many awards coming out of this. And then our Tiny Tots presentation at Lazy Creek. The middle bottom photo is the All-Star Field Day, and then the bottom right is the citizen who brought us in some goodies for Law Enforcement Day. During this period, we were able to hire a few more employees. Corey Gouveia, our Community Service Officer, our Police Cadet, Jaden Kinahan, and then our Code Enforcement Officer, Luis Acosta. And then we have an upcoming event here, Special Needs Program Information Meeting, May 31st. At the police department, and this will cover things such as our Blue Envelope program, our YANA, our Project Lifesaver, and the countywide reunification program. With that, if there's any questions, I'm here to answer them.
Mayor Pro Tem Carwin.
Thank you, Gloria. Chief, thanks. Excellent results. I'm really thrilled with the way the department is progressing, and it looks like all the trends are going in the right direction. So kudos to the whole department. Specifically, I had a question. What's coming up? We were about to start construction on the Bradley Road Bridge, which will require a complete closure of that bridge at Salt Creek. And I'm concerned about the response times, how that's going to impact response times from PD who's coming from here to get to Sun City. Are we anticipating staging officers north of Salt Creek on a permanent basis, or is there some sort of anticipation going on to make sure response times stay good?
Yeah, so we'll treat it much like we do when the road closures happen during inclement weather. We actually have our substation up in Bradley. We did outfit it about a year ago with additional workstations so that our patrol officers can go there instead, write reports out of there, and be available to the north side of Bradley. We are also working with Marietta Dispatch, county regional emergency responses, and then our local GIS team here to make sure that we provide the right mapping. So once there's permanent closures occur, the map will indicate the roadway does not exist, and we'll get our priority dispatching the right way.
Great. I'm glad we're anticipating it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Chief, I just wanted to say thank you for your continued service, and I really liked hearing the success stories. That really brightened my day, and I appreciate all the sacrifices you and the entire department continue to make, and I look forward to hearing more success stories, and that always it adds light, right, to a dark world, and I'm sure you see not the pretty side of society so many times, but thank you so much for sharing the success stories.
No, it's absolutely our pleasure, and we appreciate the support. Thank you so much.
Councilman Temple, I see you in the queue.
Yeah, Chief, I just wanted to commend the department. You have a lot of these things that are trending in the right direction, going down, especially the DUI down 39%. That's really good. And I just want to tell you how proud I am as a resident for the in-view patrol that I see so often by your officers. Everywhere I go, I see a police car, I see a motorcycle, and that's so much appreciated to not only deter, but to remind the citizens that we've got a great department. It's always there, always present, and always ready to respond. So thank you. Thank you for the hard work.
Thank you, sir. No, we appreciate it. We have good, hard-working team.
Thank you, Chief Carr.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, let's give him a round of applause. Next, we are on 5.3. This is the drone as a first responder program, and I see Lieutenant Corey Cox at the podium. Good evening, Lieutenant.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council. Bear with me, my voice sounds a little weird for those of you that know me. I lost my voice over the weekend and just got it back the other day. So hopefully I'll make it through this, and I don't know if it'll be as animated as I usually am when I talk, but we'll try to do a good job. So we're here today to talk about Drone as a First Responder program that we will be rolling out pretty soon. The chief is bringing out one of the drones that we currently own. He's got it on a table up front there. This is one of the drones that we will be using in a first responder way. I got some pictures coming up of these drones in the PowerPoint. And there's also a video of, not one of our videos, but a video of a neighboring agency that currently has a drone as a first responder program, so that we can see how this is going to help us and benefit the city. So tonight, these are the things that we're going to talk about. I'll kind of just briefly go over what we plan on accomplishing, our mission, descriptions of the aircrafts, what deployments are going to look like, how a deployment happens, some of the benefits, and then some final takeaways. So using a drone is a force multiplier. Using it in a DFR capacity is an even greater force multiplier. This is going to be a tool that's going to increase our effectiveness of our patrol force and all the other entities that are in public safety that interact with our patrol force that can benefit from this. So let's keep our fingers crossed and hope this video works. We're going to roll into a video, and what it is, you'll see it's got the point of view of a drone. That's a drone as a first responder drone. And you'll see that when it comes in, you can also listen to the audio of the person who called for the police. And what would have happened normally is this person's a neighbor calling, and then as these people left the area, that would have been the end of it, and maybe the police were able to find this person later and solve said problem or prevent something. But because of the drone, they were able to make, basically bring this to a very good end.
I don't know, they're just trying to hit each other with a car or something, I don't know.
You said trying to hit each other with a car?
Yeah, and the other one with the motorcycle. Just sending a police car over here.
You just photo of the white sedan, Hyundai Elantra, and white motorcycle.
So the caller's saying that the driver of the car is trying to run the person over on a motorcycle. It's a domestic violence type call. This is taking place in a neighborhood. One of the neighbors is the caller.
The white vehicle's continuing eastbound.
So at this point, the neighbor obviously can't see them anymore. It would be very difficult, almost impossible for the officers to find these people unless some other person sees what's going on and decides to call. Again, the drone's still following them as the one car chases them through town.
Sedan is pursuing the motorcycle. 10-4. Is there any that can brake?
We need a unit code. It looks like the sedan is trying to ram the motorcyclist. They're pulling in behind the business. All right, they're having a confrontation now in the alley.
In an alley, G Street, in a 415. 341, can you start for the west side?
All right, suspect vehicle is going to be a white Hyundai Elantra, four-door. Looks like a white or Hispanic male driver. Still in the confrontation in the alleyway.
South Alley, 5G, 10-4, still in the 415.
Start seeing route code. That's San Rico. All right, sedan's ramming the motorcycle. Motorcyclist is on the. He is away from the bike. All right, motorcyclist is back on. He just got rammed, so we have a 245. Just 245 in with the vehicle.
10-4, should we stage medics? Staging medics, 10-4.
There's a motor right in the alley now. He's on the vehicle. That's the suspect vehicle you're behind.
All right, so that's the end of the video. As you can see, Had they not had a drone overhead or a helicopter overhead, I can tell you from my experience in law enforcement, it's very unlikely that somebody else may or may not have seen that and called until it got to that point there in the alley, and then maybe one of the neighbors calls because they hear a car's engine revving, and then maybe it takes another 15 or 20 minutes to get there. They were able to take care of this before something worse happened, say, the vehicle running the person over completely and severely injuring them, or getting even worse. Who knows if, the person on the motorcycle had their bike been damaged, maybe they had a gun and it would have turned into a shooting. So a lot of ways that this could have gone bad. The reason that these are so great for law enforcement is we like information, just like all of us like information. We generally have questions. We don't just like to be told, hey, that's the way it is. So with these drones, we're able to get an eye in the sky, and we don't just have to rely on a person's description of what they're seeing on the phone to the dispatcher, who then types notes about what the person is saying, and then another radio operator dispatcher reads the notes, which are Cliff Notes versions of what's actually being said on the phone, and then the officer on scene has probably about 5% of the information that's probably actually being related on the phone. That's unfortunately just how the radio and the telephone system work. It's like the game telephone. I think we've all played that at one point in time, where somebody says something and as you go down, it completely changes. That's how law enforcement dispatch works. That's why this is so valuable, because you actually get an officer operating this up overhead, watching on camera, and they then take over the radio and speak all the information to the officers arriving on scene that the officers know that they want, because it's a fellow officer and they're going to tell the person what they would like. So they broadcast it out and everybody gets the information they're looking for. Allows us to operate in an extremely safe manner, formulate plans on the way instead of getting there and then trying to formulate a plan on the fly based off what we're seeing. So for our drone program, as you can see, this picture of a drone, this is the other drone that we're waiting on delivery from. It's from a company called Skydio, which is an American-made company, and we're contracting through them, and they have software and everything we need to fly these drones from a desktop and do exactly what you just saw on the computer screen. So the technical term for a drone is a small unmanned aerial system, SUAS. We just refer to it as drones. Most people know what that means. It's a lot easier to say than SUAS, and it just makes it a little easier to converse that way. It's going to be deployed for specific use, so no one needs to worry. We're not just going to launch and then kind of cruise around looking for trouble. It's specific use only. So it's going to be because an officer stopped a car and that person's asking for assistance from the drone, because maybe the person's not getting out. We'll fly directly there, look in the car, see what's going on, provide them the assistance they need, come back. Or a 911 call comes in, or another type of call that's not a 911 call comes in, where we think we need extra information, such as a shoplifter over at the Target and the person is now walking out the door. Well, if we have this drone stationed on the roof of the police department, it's going to launch within about 30 seconds, and it's another 30 seconds worth of flight time. I can tell you that in the time that one of the security officers for Target calls us, gets on the phone with dispatch and says they're walking out to the car, usually within that minute we could have somebody over there, and that would be about the time they're getting in their car and driving out. Our drone can then follow the car. They fly pretty quick, up to about 45 miles an hour, so we can tail the car, and then the drone operator can direct incoming resources, the officers on the ground, to go and make these stops. That's just a small example. Anything to a neighbor disturbance, basically anything you can think of. Somebody having an accident and they called for an ambulance because they're drowning in the back of a pool. We can get a drone overhead and look at what approach might be best. Hey, this side yard's blocked, go to this other side yard to go around. Many different uses, unlimited uses really. But they will be deployed for specific use and never used for any type of random looking at anything or spying on people. We're not interested in that.
Can I jump in with a question right there? Is something you said that struck me. With regard to the ability to make arrests, you mentioned somebody walking out of Target as a shoplifter. Is this an extension of personal observation by the officer, or is it more analogous to a traffic camera? For the purposes of probable cause and arrest and that kind of thing. So is this the same as an officer's eyes on the person?
Yes.
Or is it more like a traffic camera which has been kind of struck down?
It's going to be the extension of an officer. It's the exact same thing as a helicopter. You have an officer using a direct line of sight to direct incoming resources towards a person.
So even though there's no officer standing on top of the drone, the fact that there's an officer looking at the camera in real time is an extension of that officer for the purposes of evidentiary and arrest?
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you.
All of our pilots will be licensed through the FAA. They'll take the Part 107 training classes and tests. It's essentially the same thing as us going to the DMV to get a driver's license and being licensed and tested by a state agency to say you can drive. Same thing, we're not just blanket handing keys to people and saying go out and fly these things. We want to make sure that they can fly them effectively and safely. We also have what's called conditions of authorization, or a COA, through the department, which is also a blanket operation that allows us a few liberties that the general public isn't allowed, such as flying over crowds of people, flying over traffic, and flying at night. Those are specific use things that are designated for public safety, and the paperwork that we already have in place allows us to operate in that manner because public safety is a 24/7 operation. And currently we're looking for one proposed launch site. We're analyzing our data to make sure we know where we want to be and make the most effective use out of this to cover where the bulk of calls are coming up that we can use it for. It is housed, as you'll see in one of the other pictures later, in a designated launch site, and that allows us to download all the information that comes off it from the video, recharge the batteries, keep it in an air-conditioned unit so that it lasts for a long time. The mission of the DFR program for the Menifee Police Department is to provide airborne support to public safety personnel during operations in a safe and transparent manner for the purpose of increasing the safety of every member of our community. These are the two types of aircraft that we're going to be flying. This one up here on the table is the DJI Matrice 30T. Flight time of roughly 40 to 45 minutes, runs a 2-battery system. Excuse me. It has infrared and zoom cameras. The zoom's pretty impressive. So is the infrared capability. Allows you to stay pretty far out and look and zoom in on things that you might not normally, be able to see unless you had a pair of binoculars. So pretty impressive. And the Skydio X10 is the one that we're waiting to take delivery on. And that one, both of them will have hopefully their own houses that they can live in. We're still in the process of making the DJI, getting that whole system up and running, but the Skydio one is the one that we're supposed to be taking delivery of soon to make sure that can be put into place very soon. These are the two types of aircraft we have. This is the deployment and some of the common uses. Obviously, if we get a traffic collision, we have a lot of those in town, I think we all know. Hopefully this can help with maybe spotting those, documenting those that can do things to help aid in our traffic analysis so that we can better serve the public in reducing traffic collisions. Crimes in progress, like we talked about, missing persons. If somebody's known that we lost them over here, we can get up in the air, we can get there quickly, much quicker than a helicopter can, and we can get overhead and we can start looking for missing persons. I know we've worked with the Riverside Sheriff's Department and their helicopter has helped us quite a few times locate missing persons. So this is just one more tool in being able to take care of people. We can use it out on our SWAT operations, getting the drone up overhead as a static eye in the sky. SWAT operations can tend to be dangerous because people are they know that we're there. We've made a lot of noise. We've announced that we're the police, we're there. They can try to do things such as escape or possibly barricade themselves more, and this allows us to see what's going on and let the officers know so that they can operate in the safest manner possible. Can be used for large public events, just to kind of keep an eye out, have it up overhead, not necessarily watching everything that's going on, but have it up and available in case there is something going on so that we can get an eye up and we can see to determine how many resources we need to send that direction. Hazmat events, nobody wants to get close to that stuff. It's very bad for you, very unhealthy, specifically without safety gear, and it allows us to get closer than we normally could prior to donning safety gear so we can see how to best handle that. And any kind of active threat incident, people fighting, active shooters at schools, active shooters at churches or department stores, anywhere that some kind of mass casualty event is taking place, we can get it up overhead and it'll help. Future possibilities are endless, but a couple of them could be just the delivery of items, right? We have a lot of pools and lakes in this city. Possibility of dropping off a life preserver to somebody that's in the middle drowning. An AED, We could save somebody's life with a pocket AED that gets flown and dropped somewhere if somebody's out on a hike, because whoever they're hiking with can hook that up and save them. Narcan, we all know that fentanyl is an issue here, and it just seems to be kind of all over the place all the time, and somebody could inadvertently touch it because it's left somewhere. If somebody's, maybe we can get that there faster than an ambulance can get there, and the person can deliver Narcan. Hydration, communication. We have a lot of nice hiking here in town. If somebody's to get stuck up there with in the heat during the summertime, be able to hydrate or drop off some communication that they could better direct somebody in. So, a lot of different uses. This is a
Lieutenant Cox had a question.
Yes, sir.
Under future possibilities, can those deliveries happen now, or is that in the future?
Theoretically, they could happen now with a roll of duct tape and whatever we wanted to strap it to the back. The companies are all in the process of creating delivery systems that actually attach so that you can release said items from up in the air and you don't necessarily have to land the drone. So technically, as long as it didn't interfere, the life preserver might be a little weird because it could get caught in the props. But the other things, if they were small enough, then the drone can handle the payload. Technically, it could be used now.
Okay, I'll keep an eye out then. Thank you for those potential possibilities.
Of course. This here, excuse me, is a picture of the little house that the drone lives in, docking station. So the roof comes up over the top. Again, it will download video. It has an air conditioning system inside because batteries, we all know, don't like heat. So as it either charges or swaps out batteries, they will be ran in an air-conditioned unit to make sure that they charge effectively and efficiently and last as long as possible. But for the process of a deployment, a call is going to come into dispatch. The pilot's going to either find out about it over the radio or live 911. Live 911 is our current system that allows officers to log into a computer program on their mobile computers in their police vehicles, and they can listen to the incoming phone calls as they are happening. So as the person says, hey, I've got an emergency and I'm at this address, the drone operator, excuse me, the drone operator he will have a computer there. He'll be on live 911. He can plug in the address to the locating GPS on the drone and get it going that direction prior to calls even being fully created and officers even being ready to get there so we can get eyes in the sky. Pilot's going to advise dispatch that they're launching. They're going to fly out to the scene. Once they get to the scene, they can either decide whether officers are still needed because it could have been, a vehicle revving its engine or playing loud music, and now they get there and there's nothing there. They check the area. Okay, we don't even need to send an officer. Now we've saved time and money on the officer, wear and tear on the vehicle, and that officer can now pull over one of these people we've got running red lights all the time to try and make the streets even safer. So we've done double duty there. But if the pilot does fly to the scene and we need a police response, they will direct incoming units to the scene, and they can remain overhead and assist as needed with directing and coordinating incoming assets as they are needed for whatever scene they're handling. And then they can also coordinate the replacement of a drone if a drone still needs to stay overhead, sending another one out while this one comes back in so that we have complete coverage of the drone being up and overhead. Benefits and challenges, there's always pros and cons to everything. Again, we're going to enhance situational awareness, as we've talked about. It's going to improve response times. We are going to be able to get, as Mr. Carwin said earlier, does this count as an officer watching what's going on, being on scene? It does. So when you get an officer overhead and you can start directing incoming resources, hopefully this will make our incoming officers that much more effective. It's going to lower our response times to calls. It's going to increase officer safety because now we can formulate plans to handle situations as we're on our way to these calls instead of trying to figure them out once we arrive on scene. We're going to have better information and more information, and the officers can make better choices and better decisions. It's more cost effective than running a helicopter. Helicopters can be pretty expensive, depending on who you ask, anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 an hour to fly a helicopter. 50 cents worth of battery charge to fly a drone for a little while. It's very cost effective and very efficient. It's going to be very supportive for other departments. We can work with CAL FIRE, with our streets departments, with our public works departments. So a lot of different uses for the drones. and it's going to maximize efficient use of current resources. Again, it's a force multiplier. It's just going to make the use of what we're currently doing even more effective than it already is. Some of the challenges, again, privacy concerns. That tends to be the big one. Big Brother's up in the air, spying on people, watching people. One of the main ways that we're going to prevent that, yes, it is going to be in the air. Yes, it is going to be flying over people's residences and areas that they want to protect and have privacy in, and that's unavoidable. Some of the ways we'll do it, the camera's either going to be facing forward or it's going to be tilted up. We will be running recordings from the time it takes off. The record button will be going the whole time until it lands again. Both of these are to say, yes, as we're cruising along, we're not watching what we're doing underneath. We're only interested in getting out to where we need to be. And same thing on the way back. The reason we record the entire time is so that if somebody says, your drone was hovering overhead and spying on me while I was in the backyard, making my barbecue. And we can say, well, we'll take a look at this. We see the drone path. Yes, the drone did fly overhead as you were saying it. Okay, well, it didn't stop. It went back and forth. Here's the video at the time that it's showing we were overhead and above your house, and you've got the video pointed straight up at the camera. Obviously, we can put people's minds at ease that we're not spying on anybody, and we're not the insurance companies. We're not looking to take pictures of people's houses and then go out there and do stuff. We're here to save people and help people and make this the best community it can be, and that doesn't involve spying on anybody in any means. There are some weather limitations. Obviously, if it's really, really rainy or extremely, extremely hot, we're not going to be able to launch these things. You don't want them falling out of the sky because the battery explodes because it's just overheating. We all know it gets pretty hot here in the summertime. If we've got a 120-degree weekend, the drone's probably not going to be up just because the batteries are going to overheat and it's just not going to be good. Battery life can be another challenge. I said we got 40 to 45 minutes worth of flight time. That can vary depending on what's going on with the wind. If it's really having to fight the wind to stay stable, it's going to eat up the battery faster. If it's fighting the wind as it's flying out, depending on how far out it flies, will give you how much time up overhead. A lot of different things. Regulatory compliance. The FAA is constantly changing the rules, luckily in a good way. They seem to be making it a little easier for public safety to get involved in the drone world as time progresses. There was a huge leap forward as far as filling out paperwork over the last 2 months, which has been really nice. We just have to now figure out how to fill out the new paperwork because it can be difficult filling out some of the FAA's paperwork. But we're fully committed to regulatory compliance, and if we can't meet that, then the drones won't be flying in the air. We're not interested in trying to skirt any issues and ask for forgiveness afterwards. And one of the other challenges, there could be some limited pilot availability, right? Depending on who's working, if somebody calls in sick, we can't have everybody at the police department be a pilot, as nice as that would be. Just like we can't have everybody do my job, everybody can't do everybody's job. So there are a finite amount of pilots, and that could limit it, but we will do our best operationally to make sure that that does not take place. Some of the final takeaways: it's going to add to our situational awareness. It's got a very strong likelihood of locating and helping us identify suspects because we're going to be on scene quite a bit faster. And it has the opportunity for us to not even have to send officers out to the scene, saving time, money, wear and tear in the long term, and allowing officers to be elsewhere because the drone pilot is able to clear these calls out at the scene. Again, we'll lower response times. Anything that we can think of using it for, that's what it can be used for. And again, one last time, it really is going to multiply the effectiveness of officer responses. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Lieutenant Cox. Council, do we have any questions for Lieutenant Cox?
I have.
Sorry, one sec. Oh, go ahead, Councilman Dynas, and then Councilman Diedrich.
Sorry about that. How often right now are you utilizing this for calls, and what type of calls are you seeing right now?
So we do not currently have a drone as a first responder program set up. What we have is we do have drones that we're deploying, and the individual pilot officers will take with them out on calls. So, missing person calls, somebody that's barricaded themselves in a house call, a large property, and we're looking for a way hey, what's the best way to try to get up to the door? So a lot of different uses that we can use it for. We've been taking it out on traffic collision scenes also. We can use that to map after the fact collision scenes. We use it if we need to diagram different things. I know if the possibility if we're serving search warrants and we have an active warrant that we're allowed to now go and search somebody's house, we can get that up overhead to assist with search warrant service and just keeping people safe. So we are using them, but not necessarily in the capacity that we've discussed tonight so far.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Diedrich.
Yeah, I just had a question about what's the anticipated lifespan of these? How frequently would they have to be replaced? Maybe you don't know.
Yeah,
the answer to that.
it's an evolving technology, and I'll tell you, the police department, we purchased some drones prior to going live, and I believe we had them in hand around February or March of 2020, and we still have some of those we still have 3 of those in service out of the 4 that we had. The motors and the technology are pretty robust. It's the batteries, just like with most electronic things, the batteries tend to go bad. So if you stay on top of battery maintenance and the motor maintenance, they tend to work pretty well. With the advancements in technology, though, you do, just like with cell phones and with computers, you do see now that this one that we have here, how it's 50 times superior to the other ones we have. The other ones we have still work and they do what we need to do, but the pictures aren't as clear, the battery life's not long, and it's still a very useful technology. So I don't necessarily, if you ask the manufacturer, they might 5 years. I think as long as it's maintained well and you're doing what you're supposed to be with it and staying on top of the maintenance, I think that they could last us, upwards of 7 to 10 years.
Thank you.
No other questions in the queue. Lieutenant Cox, thank you so much for coming to City Hall and presenting, giving us a broad view of the operations and an overview. We appreciate it so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, Council, next we are on Part 6, Agenda Approval or Modifications. Madam Clerk, are there any modifications to tonight's agenda?
There are none.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Can I ask the City Council for all in favor to approve the agenda? Aye.
Aye.
Hearing any opposed? Hearing none, the agenda is approved. Next, we're on Part 7 of the agenda, public comments on non-agendized items. Madam Clerk, are there any public comments on non-agendized items?
Yes, we do.
Okay, Madam Clerk, can you please call the first speaker? Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, Madam Clerk, I need to read the statement so everybody knows we're on the same page. Okay? This is the time for members of the public to address the council about items which are not listed on the agenda. The Ralph M. Brown Act limits the council's ability to respond to comments on non-agendized items at the time that such comments are made. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes on any single item. Okay, Madam Clerk, can you please call the first speaker?
We have Christy Necochea, followed by Dawn Smith.
Hello.
Good evening, Ms. Necochea.
Hi. So it's been a while since I've attended one of the council meetings, so I'd like to introduce myself to the new members. My name is Christy Necochea, and I'm the Director of Community Relations with Hospice of the Valleys. We are a nonprofit hospice that started right here in Menifee 40 years ago, actually over 40 years ago. And we became a hospice before Medicare even acknowledged hospice as a billable type service. It was actually started by 2 sisters that lived in the core that decided that no one should die or live alone in pain. And that's actually how Hospice of the Valleys came to be. We received donations, and actually we had the thrift store that now helps support Community Cupboard. And that's how we maintained our hospice service. And so I'm just here on behalf of our doctors and our nurses, our social workers, home health aides, and chaplains to say thank you for your consideration for the CDBG grant. And that's all I want to say, put a face to the name and let you know how much this community means so much to us and how grateful we are to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Nicoche. We appreciate your comments. Madam Clerk, next public speaker.
Dawn Smith, followed by Beverly Green.
Good evening, Ms. Smith.
Good evening, Mayor Estrada, council members. I'm here tonight to share a couple of upcoming events with you, but I'm struck by this is a great night for me to be here because I came here 49 years ago as of last Friday, and I was a teenager, and now I'm an older American. So, and I'm very proud to serve as the director for the Menifee Valley Community Cupboard. I have seen the generosity of our community. Because of that community, we've been able to collect and redistribute since just last July, 982,000 pounds of food. And it's very important. The more food that's donated, the more people that we can help, and the more significantly we can help them. And with that being said, Saturday is the Stamp Out Hunger, which is a national food drive by the National Association of Letter Carriers. We will be right next door on Saturday from about noon till about 6 as the letter carriers come in with the food that they're collecting on their routes. So a reminder to put a bag of food by wherever your mailbox is, and that includes those big nests. It's okay, you can put them there. If someone comes along and takes that food, then they obviously needed it. That's what. So please don't hesitate to put that food by that box. Letter carrier will bring it in, and it will go to the cupboard to help your fellow members of the community. So that's this Saturday, May the 10th. I also want to make sure that the council members especially mark your calendars for September 29th. That will be, not 29th, 20th. Gosh, too many dates in my head. There's a flyer so you can double check
19th.
19? Thank you very much. Too many dates in my head. Thank you, Mr. Carwin. Yes, I'm glad you have that. September 19th. So, we are still looking for singers. I know a few of you up there wanted to join us, so please give us a call. So again, thank you so much to the city for their support, the community for their support, and thank you very much, and have a good evening.
Wow, 982,000 pounds of food. That is a metric to be proud of. Thank you, Mrs. Smith. Madam Clerk, next public speaker.
Beverly Green.
Good evening, Mrs. Green.
Giving honor to God first and foremost, Mayor Estrada, council members, clerk, attorneys, everybody. I'm actually up here to commend Chief Carver, the police department, and of course my favorite councilman, Bob Carwin. I have called a lot of times about the activity that goes on in the Cherry Hills Plaza, and I just wanted to commend them because it has definitely declined, and I wanted to update and add to the police quarterly. Usually I've called about probably 10 times in a month. I think I'm down to like 1, so that's really good. Today I called and I got a response time, and I said this morning, once they got there so fast, I said the next time I get an opportunity, I was definitely going to commend everybody and let you guys know that their response time today was 1 minute and 35 seconds. I thought that was amazing, and I just wanted to say thank you, Chief Carr, because I know I get on your nerves, but thank you anyway.
Thank you, Mrs. Green. Madam Clerk, any other speakers?
No other speakers.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next, we are on to part 8 of the agenda, council members' updates and comments. This is the time for the City Council to provide any updates or comments on meetings and events they have attended. Councilman Diedrich, please lead us off.
Thank you, Mayor. On April 17th, I was overjoyed to attend the city's Employee Appreciation Luncheon. They do those quarterly, and I had really no clue how grand of a scale it is. I guess we know with 330 some employees, it's a big deal. It's not a little thing. And so it was a great event, and they did a taste of Menifee with, I think, 8 different local restaurants providing their food. And so people say we need more different types of food, we have them. They're here, and so it was great to enjoy that. On the 22nd, we all attended the Citizens Academy graduation. That was a great event. On the 24th, I attended the Menifee Chamber of Commerce board meeting. On the 26th, we did Menifee Better Together, one of my favorite events of the year. Was very grateful to do that and give back to the community some. On the 29th, we all attended the Joint Community Center design meeting, and on May 1st and 2nd, attended the SCAG annual meeting.
Thank you. Councilman Temple.
Since our last meeting, I went to Riverside to attend the Riverside Conservation Authority meeting. I also attended last week Art Beat in Menifee, which is changing its name to Live Jam for the music festival at the Centers for Spiritual Living. I attended a 2-day SCAG conference in Palm Desert. Also with a few others, I attended Menifee Better Together Service Project. Last week I was at a ribbon cutting with a new business in Menifee, Prevail Health, and that was outstanding to have them here. I also attended earlier this week the Menifee Interfaith meeting. I attended a joint workshop with the Planning Commission on the new community center, and then finally, as Ben said, we attended the Citizens Academy graduation.
Thank you. Councilman Dinas.
Thank you, Mayor. I as well attended the Citizens Academy graduation on the 22nd of April. Oh man, I have my glasses on here. It is Older American Month. On the 23rd, I attended the Southwest Teen Now meeting hosted by Lake Elsinore. I filled in for Mayor Pro Tem at the RCTC Budget Committee meeting where we recommended taking the budget to the entire commission. I did on the 29th also was part of the Joint Council Park Commission workshop. On the 1st of May, I attended the Southwest Financing Authority meeting, where at the meeting, the JPA entered into a 3-year contract with Animal Friends of the Valleys. That the old contract was up, so we renewed that. We approved their budget, which is a 15% increase, mostly because, as we've experienced everywhere, the increase in staffing and the increase in costs to run that. I think we're around 23% of the overall cost there. We still have a lot of animals coming in, a lot of owner turn-ins. We had almost 1,000 wildlife turn-ins, whatever that means. I haven't heard back what that is, but I know people are finding little bunnies and turning them in, but some kind of wildlife, only because we have a large area that's undeveloped here, a lot of open space, and people find those and turn them in. Then today I attended the RTA Operations and Administration Committee for the RTA. That's all I have.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Carwin.
Thank you, Mayor. So I also attended the Employee Appreciation Luncheon with Councilmember Dietrich. Great job by the SWEET team. I know the employees look forward to it all the time, and as well they should. It's a wonderful event. I attended Mayor, you and I were both at the Aries Development Community Meeting that was held here. Those of you who remember the project, the industrial project that is between Geary and Floyd up in the northern part of the city. They held a community meeting where all the residents were invited to come to City Hall, hear a presentation, ask questions, and get information. That was really, really helpful. I attended a Rotary meeting. I was fortunate enough to go to an acknowledgement of retirement for one of our Menifee Superior Court judges, Angel Bermudez, who resigned from the bench after a long, illustrious career. I went to Coffee with a Cop with our Menifee PD up at Joyful Noise, and was also joined there by the Sun City Cruisers, who were hanging out and saying hi to folks. I attended the RTA meeting. We traded attendance for Councilmember Dinas. I attended the RTA meeting there. I was at the WRCOG Executive Board Committee, and one of the things that was discussed there, you're going to be hearing a lot of discussion of a new measurement of traffic patterns called VMT, Vehicle Miles Traveled, and that's when a project is in development. It's the number of trips that it generates to and from that project, multiplied by the number of miles per average trip, so they know what the impact of that project is going to be. The problem is that you need to trade credits for that impact with other projects around the city, and a lot of our cities in the region don't have a lot of mitigation opportunities. So we're talking about WRCOG agencies coming together as a region so we can trade and buy credits back and forth. So if Corona, for example, puts in huge bike paths and that's worth $2 million worth of credits, a developer in Menifee can buy those $2 million worth of credits and use for their project as a mitigation. I think that'll really help the region. And other than that, I understand that there is about 400 events happening in the city of Menifee this past weekend, and I missed them all because I was on vacation. So I apologize. I wasn't just sitting at home watching Severance. I was actually out of the country, and but I'm back now. So that's all I got.
Thank you. I attended the Menifee Better Together event with our colleagues. I attended the Joint Parks Commission meeting where we talked about the design for the community center. I attended a HOA for the Augusta community in Sun City. I always enjoy making myself available one-on-one to those HOAs. I went to the Mott Museum spring event, and the Sun City Cruisers were there, and those Sun City Cruisers are really active, and they do a really great job at partnering with everybody. And so if you're interested, they have an event almost every other day, so they're a good partner to partner with in our city. I had a Mayor's Choice Award that I gave to one of the cars, and they appreciated that. I attended the Marietta Holocaust Memorial groundbreaking at the Central Park, and I thought it was really nice. It brought some personality to their park and some unique identity. So I said hi to our friendly neighbors over in Marietta there. And the final thing I want to report, I went to the Paris Union High School Gala for the year. I went there to show support for the community. They gave me a nice little honor for supporting family engagement. But most importantly, City Manager Villa, Dr. Arath, the superintendent, said thank you to the City of Menifee and the work you're doing behind the scenes with public works and enhancing safety around their schools. So that's something us as a city we can all be proud of. And that's all I got. Okay, next we're on agenda item 9, approval of the minutes. There are 3 sets of minutes for the council's consideration. Does the council have any modifications? Hearing none, can I ask the city council for an all in favor of approving the April 16th special and regular meeting minutes and the April 29th special meeting minutes? Aye?
Aye. Aye.
None opposed? The minutes are approved. Excellent. Now we're on the consent calendar. All matters on the consent calendar are to be approved in one motion unless a council member requests a separate action on a specific item on the consent calendar. If an item is removed from the consent calendar, it will be discussed individually and acted upon separately. Unless otherwise directed by a member of the city council, the vote on ordinance adoptions will reflect the prior action of each council member when the ordinance was introduced. However, if a council member is not present at the city council meeting, their vote will be reflected as absent. Madam Clerk, are there any requests to speak on these consent calendar items?
There are none.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. Are there any items my fellow colleagues wish to pull for discussion?
10.8.
Okay, 10.8. Any others? Okay, 10.8 will be pulled. Can I get a motion and a second to approve the balance on the consent calendar?
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
We're going to do a roll call vote. Councilmember Dynas?
Yes.
Councilmember Diedrich?
Yes.
Councilmember Temple?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Carwin?
Yes.
And Mayor Estrada?
Yes.
That passes 5-0.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Mayor Pro Tem Carwin, you pulled 10.8. What is your pleasure on this item, Mayor Pro Tem?
I pulled this item for 2 reasons. One, I wanted to highlight it to the community, and then I had a couple of questions on it. I don't need a full staff report, but if Director Fiddler could just give a quick summary of the item so the public understands what it is, and then I've got a couple of technical questions.
Mayor Pro Tem, I'd like to introduce Carlos Geronimo, who's the project manager for the project that knows all the intimate details for it.
Great.
Good evening, Mr. Geronimo.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. So, quick overall scope of the project. As everybody knows, that's here in the city of Menifee. When you drive over Bradley Road, Salt Creek, at Salt Creek, it's a low-flow crossing road. So it floods regularly with any moderate rain event. So this project proposes to eliminate that crossing and construct a bridge over Salt Creek. So that's eliminating the need to close the roadways when it floods, and also providing safety to motorists, pedestrians. We're going to add sidewalks, dedicated bike lanes, and street lights on that project. Generally, that's the scope of the project. I know it's been a long time coming for this project. I started here almost 11 years ago, and that was one of my first projects assigned to me. So finally, it's here and ready to move on from that project and get something else. But yeah, I know the community has been waiting a long time for it. Tonight, we're going to award the project, and within a couple of months, we're going to start construction on that project between June and July of this year.
Yeah, so a couple of my questions here. So the project, it looks like the contract award is an amount not to exceed $16,152,000.
Correct.
So there are two other numbers here. The capital project fund appropriation of $2.9 million. What exactly is that in relation to the project?
Sure. With the project, there is existing utilities already in place that cross Salt Creek, and some of those are EMWD. Actually, the $2.9 million are for EMWD specifically. So we're going to relocate some of those utilities and bring them up in the bridge, and we're going to add a couple more utilities that they will use in the future. So that $2.9 million is to pretty much reimburse the city for that work.
Okay, so the project that we're awarding, that we're being asked to award, is $16 million to Ames Construction.
Right.
Who is doing the work representing the $2.9 million for Eastern Municipal?
Ames Construction. Our contractor is doing it.
So is that 2.9 included in the 16, or?
It's included in the 16.
So that's a part of the 16, it's just an appropriation of those funds?
Correct.
I see, so it's not in addition. That's
not in addition to.
I see. And once the contract is awarded, what is the period of time by which they have to start?
So they have a 45-day period to move in once the contract is awarded. So that's why it puts us somewhere in June, July. So we have to wait for the contractor to come on board and give us a schedule. We're hoping that they can move in and start work before the 45-day period, but they technically have those 45 days, and they can start breaking ground.
Okay, so how long after they start the project, like the day one by their timeline, however many days that is within the 45 days, how long after that do we anticipate having to close Bradley Road?
So we're expecting the closure for anywhere from about 12 months or so. The total duration of the project is 14 months.
Well, I mean, when will the closure occur?
Start?
Yes. Will it be day one they're going to close Bradley Road, or they have to do preliminary work first?
They have to do some preliminary work first, and it's up to the contractor to decide whether or not they want to close it on day one or they want to wait a little bit. It's means and methods that the contractor will tell us, how they want to proceed with the project.
And is there any possible way you can estimate for us how long the road will be closed?
That's a little bit hard to predict. We're anticipating anywhere between 8 to 12 months. It depends on the contractor, what they want to do, but we won't have exact time until we have the contractor on board and the schedule before us that we can approve with the contractor and see what the activities are going to be. And maybe there may be a time to reduce that closure if possible. And that's what we're going to try to aim for.
Okay. Yeah, because you can't close half of it because you can't have half a bridge up because it's on pylons.
Right.
You close half the bridge, tear it down, it falls over. So
right.
There's an item in our red folders tonight with regard to this contract that I wanted to clarify and just make sure I understand. So the contract that's in the materials had some sort of boilerplate liquidated damages clause about $500 a day. And what that means is if the contractor goes over the content period of time for any delays that were their fault, those are they would have to pay damages, liquidated damages. That's what that clause means, right?
Correct.
The contract says $500 a day, which is nothing. But there's a second section of special provisions that's $9,500 a day?
Correct.
And
So-
this red line makes that part of the main contract and eliminates that $500 a day language?
That is correct. Yeah.
Okay, so and how long is the project? 200 and something days?
260 working days.
260 working days. So if they go beyond that through something that's their fault, they've got to pay us $9,500 a day for each day they're over.
Yes, correct.
Great. Okay. Does anybody else have questions?
Yeah, Mr. Geronimo. So when the contractor gives us notice, hey, we're going to begin on this specific day, are they required to give the city, just for example, 24 hours, 72 hours, a week in advance? That way we can notify our residents?
At a minimum 2 weeks, but we should be getting that schedule much ahead of that time.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Council, any other questions?
I move approval.
Okay. 1 second, Mayor Pro Tem. I just have to handle this clerical portion of the meeting. Madam Clerk, are there any requests to speak on this consent calendar item?
There are none.
Okay. All right. Looks like there's no other comments in the queue. Mayor Pro Tem made a motion.
I'll second.
Okay. Councilman Dynas always beats me to the punch. All right. We have a second.
And we'll do another voice vote. Councilmember Diedrich,
Yes.
Councilmember Temple,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Carwin.
Yes.
Councilmember Dynas.
Yes.
And Mayor Estrada.
Yes.
That passes 5-0.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Finally happening!
Finally. Excellent. Well, thank you, Public Works team. Next, we're on agenda item number 11. This is 11.1, Community Development Block Grant Program for 2025-2026 Annual Action Plan. And I would like to ask Community Development Director Orlando Hernandez to please introduce the item and lead us.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Orlando Hernandez here to present Anna LeBron, who's here every year to go over these items. So today she's going to go a little more into detail to provide the new council members with some background. So.
Good evening, Mrs. LeBron.
Good evening. I'm going to throw you for a loop and say LeBron. Edna LeBron.
Oh, con permiso.
Senior Management Analyst for Community Development. It's good to see you guys tonight. It's been a while. Yes, I'll be going over the presentation for the program year 25-26 CDBG Annual Action Plan, which covers July 1st, 2025 through July 30th. That's wrong. June 1st, it should say June 1st, 2025 through July 30th, 2025. Apologize for that mistake there. So the Community Development Block Grant Overview, City of Menifee receives an annual allocation of funds from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, also known as HUD, every year. HUD determines how much we get by the factors of what the City of Menifee's population, people in poverty, and the overcrowdedness that we have. And we hope to expect roughly the same amount as this year, which is $560,000. The CDBG funds are intended to provide decent housing, create suitable living environment, and expand economic opportunities. The national objectives are to benefit low, moderate income persons, eliminate slum and blight, and address urgent threat to health and safety. In our 22-27 Menifee Consolidated Plan, our priority needs are the homelessness prevention services, improved neighborhood, public facilities and infrastructure, economic development, broadband, services to low, moderate income residents, and affordable housing prevention. For our annual action plan, we generally include the following items, which are the administration, fair housing services, which is mandatory under CDBG, housing, public facilities, and public services. And as you can see, administration is capped at 20, as well as the public services capped at 15%. So the recommendation for 25-26, the breakdown is $112,000 would go for administration. 2,300 of that would go to Fair Housing Services. We want to put $264,000 into the minor home repair, $40,000 which would go into the activity delivery costs, which also means admin costs, really, under the program. Then 100,000% would go. I'm sorry. My 100, yes, I'm sorry. My leg is shaking here. I'm sorry. 100,000 would go for the case and Nicero's roof. And public services, we would do 84,000 for a total of $560,000. So how do we come about giving funds to our public services? In December 20th of 2024, a NOFA went out, was released to about 70 stakeholders. At that time, advising that the applications were out for this fiscal year coming up. We had a special MCAC meeting February 13th, and the special meeting was due to having 4 of the 5 MCAC members being new. So we had to go over all of what CDBG meant, what the process was for the public services. So we had that special meeting on the 13th. On the 14th, there was a mandatory workshop for all of our nonprofits that wanted to apply for CDBG. So in order for them to apply, they needed to attend this workshop to know what CDBG is all about, because at times we do get people that think that this is just free money that we're giving, and no, it's just a leverage of funds that's going to help their organization. Then on the February 28th, applications were due. So at that particular time when they came back to me, I reviewed them to make sure that all documentation is there, that they are a qualified nonprofit organization, and that they do qualify within our consolidated plan. I make a binder of all these applications to our MCAT committee, and they roughly had about 2 weeks to review these applications. Then we came back on March 20th to have the MCAC meeting with our nonprofits. On March 20th, we had roughly, we had nine actual nonprofits that presented to MCAC, and they presented for 3 minutes, and there, of course, were Q&A for them. MCAT was provided with a scoring guide and scoring sheet, and the scoring guide and sheet determined the need for the community, does it benefit our low mod income residents, the readiness, past performance if there was any, and if it meets the city's objectives. I in turn get the score sheets, I tally that up, and this year we had a little different situation where only 4 of our 5 could vote on our nonprofit because one of our MCAT committee members did have a conflict of interest with one of the agencies, so we could not count them. So generally, I have a tally of 40. You have 10 points for each of those. Need of community, the benefit to low mod residents, and readiness, so forth, which is 50 points. This year, I had to bring it down to 40 because we're eliminating one of the MCAC members. And then my benchmark was 30. So once I tallied the scores from each MCAC member, if that agency scored a 30 or higher, they moved on to the next phase, which is the amount of recommended from MCAC. On that same tally sheet, there's an amount for them to provide for them, and it tells them what the agency is asking for. And I tell them that they can do no less than 10,000, but no more than 84,000. They're able to choose how they could, if they wanted to choose all, let's say there was 8 agencies, if they wanted to choose all 8 and give them 10,000 straight across the board, they could have done that. If they wanted to choose just one agency and gave them the 84,000, they could have done that. But they didn't do that. They came back, and when we tallied up, these are our 9 agencies that applied. The Assistance League applied for 15,000. They received 0. The Boys and Girls Club asked for 10. They're receiving 10. FSA asked for 20, they got the 20. Habitat asked for 26,570, and they only got 10. Hospice of the Valley asked for 10. They're receiving 13,500. The cupboard is asked for 20. They're also receiving 20. Healthcare asked for 15. They're receiving 0. Safe Family Justice Center asked for 10,500. They're also receiving the 10,500. And Voices for Children asked for 10, and they're receiving 0. So I also put on there what the agencies that we're using this year, the 24-25, which is the Assistance League, the Boys and Girls Club. You can see what they were awarded last year for this particular fiscal year. Now, just wanted to let you know that these are just recommendations from MCAC. City Council, of course, has the discretion to change anything if they would like to. And so staff is...
Valley-wide stop coming?
I'm sorry?
Valley-wide stop coming?
I haven't had Valley-wide since I've been here.
Because I've served on this committee before, and Valley-wide used to submit an application every year and then not show up to the meeting.
I've been here 8 years, sir, and they have not applied in the 8 years that I've been here.
Okay, I have a quick question.
Sure.
The Family Services Association, we didn't award them money in 24-25. Looks like they're a new partner, and we have a recommendation for $20,000. And we have our Senior Advisory Committee still here. I would like to know how this senior nutrition program is implemented. What do they do? Who are they?
So they're actually not. They're new to this new fiscal year coming up, but no, they have been applicants of our agency that we used since I've been here. The last couple of years, they had other sources of funding, and because they had other sources of funding, they were wanting to step away from the CDBG to give other nonprofit organizations the chance to use their funding, instead of them double dipping or whatever you might want to call it. But no, we've used them in the past. They've always done the meals for our seniors at the Case Aniceros Center.
Okay, is that the program where the cars line up?
Well, that was through COVID.
Okay.
Yeah, that was through COVID. Now they go inside and they feed them inside.
Oh, the inside meals.
Inside. Mm-hmm.
Got it. Okay. I don't see any other questions from council. So at this time, I will open up the public hearing for this public hearing item at 7:32. Next, Madam Clerk, can you confirm if the item was legally noticed and if any correspondence had been received?
The item was legally noticed and no correspondence has been received.
Okay, and Madam Clerk, are there any requests to speak?
There are none.
Okay. Oh, I see a hand up in the crowd. Okay, Ms. Sanchez, the floor is yours, ma'am.
Good evening again, City Council. Looking at the people who received the funding, the first group called the Assistance League of Temecula, I was personally disappointed that they were not looked at receiving it, because what they offer is something that we can't get from anyone else, or no one has stepped up, and that's actually helping the needy families with their children for clothing. They do this every year. They have been approved, where they select the needy children, they take them to Kohl's, give them the money to buy clothing for schools, so they can be clothed to attend the schools. I was very surprised that they didn't get anything. I just want to let that be known. Don't get me wrong, I think all of them that apply, I wish we had all the money to give all our nonprofits that apply, because they're all very good and they do a great job. But this particular one kind of hit home to me, and when I think about where we're going to get funding to help clothe the needy children in Menifee, the Assistance League does a wonderful job. Yes, they're out of Temecula, but they come here every year in Menifee just before the school year starts. So I just wanted to give my input into that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sanchez. I see another hand up in the crowd. Yeah, Ms. Summers, welcome. The floor is yours.
Hi, I'm Charmaine Summers. I also agree with Gloria Sanchez. The Assistance League are very important in our community. I actually was in the Assistance League in Tustin in Orange County. Operation School Bell is an amazing program. It's hands-on, and it also teaches our junior cadets to go out and meet with the children and happily clothe them, and I believe Target is part of that program too. So I really am sad to say that they're not going to be funded, but I hope we may consider them again in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Summers. Anyone else in the audience like to speak? Hearing none. Okay, I'll close the public hearing at 7:35. Council, this is our time to discuss or make comments. Okay, I see Councilman Diedrich.
Yes, I've had the opportunity to serve on MCAT and go through this process, and I was shocked beforehand to see that Assistance League was not receiving this year. They are a standard recipient of it, and I know they do great things for the needy families here in Menifee, so that the children go to school with new clothes and things like that. So I was sad to see that, but again, I was not involved in this process as they went through and deliberated. I don't know where we would potentially pull from to give to them, but I don't know if anybody else has any ideas, but I mean, I'm just saddened that Assistance League isn't receiving this year.
Did we have anyone on staff who can speak to the rationale behind the MCAC's recommendation that was present at the meeting?
So the only rationality that I can think of is because they have their full application and they see what other funds are their leverage funds that the Assistance League had compared to others. That's the only rationality, because I was shocked as well. But that's the only thing that I can think of. MCAC takes these applications home with them. They review them on their own. They see all of their financials, so they're comparing them through each and every organization that's competing with them, and that's the only rationale that I can think of.
So the term leverage, what does that mean?
That means that they have other source of funding coming in from other places.
Okay, so the MCAC saw that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. That insight helps. Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Carwin?
Thank you. I have also served on this committee, and I'm familiar with the application process and how extensive the meetings are and how the criteria is made. And there's criteria about how there's how many here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 9 applicants here. You have to give a minimum of $10,000 apiece. So somebody's not going to get anything. There's no mechanism to give 8 and then 4. That's a problem. And with some of these that are more based in Menifee, I just without seeing the presentations and without reading the applications and going through all of the criteria that the MCAC did, as much as I'm a supporter of the Assistance League of Temecula Valley, I'd like to honor the process that we go through here and just respect. Maybe Assistance League can learn from this, not take it personally, and fix whatever the comments were that were made by the committee for the next time around. But I think it would be unfair to the other organizations who were awarded after this process to take from them and give to them just because we always give to them and we should, or we'd like to, or any of those kinds of things. There was a whole process with criteria, and I'd like to honor we each selected and appointed people to that committee for their decision-making process, and we don't have a rehearing on that here. So I would just as soon, as much as I would love to give money to everybody, there's not enough to go around. In years past, there's been enough that we can award to just everybody, but this year it appears that we got more applicants than money. So I would be in favor of just going, unfortunately recommending the recommendation.
Looking at these recommendations, the only potential we can pull from would be the Family Service Association and the Menifee Valley Community Cupboard, because there's a minimum of 10,000. Is that what you said?
That is correct.
Okay, so, but I'm not willing to pull from our Arcade Cisneros Center, which is Menifee-based. I'm not willing to pull from a Menifee community cupboard, which is Menifee-based. And so for those two reasons, I'm going to stick with the recommendation and keep the money directly at home here in Menifee. Councilman Carwin. Councilman.
Have I been promoted? I'm happy to go again.
Councilman Temple.
Can I have the gavel? No, I agree with I agree with Mr. Carwin. I think that we should respect the appointees that we've all made and their decision, as they had all the information before them and they deliberated, and this was the conclusion they came to, and I agree with that conclusion as well.
And no, you cannot have the gavel. Okay, any other comments? Okay, hearing none, I will make a motion to approve the recommended action.
Second.
All right. Councilmember Temple? Yes. Mayor Pro Tem Carwin?
Yes.
Councilmember Dynas?
Yes.
Councilmember Diedrich?
Yes.
And Mayor Estrada?
Yes.
That motion passed 5-0.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next, we are on 11.2 and 11.3. Madam Clerk, can you please introduce the items for 11.2 and 11.3?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Mayor and City Council, so 11.2 and 11.3 were previously noticed as public hearings for the April 2nd meeting. Prior to that meeting, the city was notified that there was a change of ownership in progress. So the council at that April 2nd meeting continued both public hearings to this meeting. That property ownership transfer is still in progress, so staff is requesting to continue the items to the June 4th meeting.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Having that said, can I ask for a motion and a second to continue 11.2 and 11.3 to June 4th?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, are we going to do a voice roll? Okay.
Mayor Pro Tem Carwin?
Yes.
Councilmember Dynas?
Yes.
Councilmember Diedrich?
Yes.
Councilmember Temple?
Yes.
And Mayor Estrada?
Yes.
That motion passed 5-0 for 11.2 and 11.3.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We're on item 12. There are no discussion items. Item 13, City Attorney reports. City Attorney Melching, anything to report?
Not tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, City Attorney Melching. City Manager report. City Manager Villa, do you have anything
Nothing
to report? Okay, thank you, City Manager Villa. Part 15, future agenda requests. Does council have any future agenda items? Councilman Diedrich.
Yes, I brought it up previously in our strategic planning discussions, but I would like to suggest that we discuss the possibility and feasibility of developing a regional sports park.
I think that's very important. I'll give you a second. Council, any other future agenda requests?
Can I clarify that motion? Is that something that we can recommend to Parks and Trails agenda? So they do it first, or do you want to bring it right back to council?
Councilman Diedrich?
So I guess my question was for staff to start working on the feasibility of it and figuring out what that would look like, and then I would assume it would work its way through Parks and then come to us.
Okay.
Okay, so to clarify, you want to send it to the Parks Commission first?
I wanted to follow the proper procedure, whatever that might look like.
The proper procedure is whatever you want it to be.
I would like to hear a presentation. Probably it would come to us, and then if we decided to move forward, then it
Fine
would.
by me. I just want to make sure I understood what you're asking for.
Yeah, no, I think just the way that would work financially and planning-wise and what that would look like and how we would achieve that.
Okay, so to council first.
Yes, please.
Okay, you got a second from me. Council, any other requests? Hearing none? Okay, I will adjourn this meeting at 7:43. Good night, Menifee.
meeting.